Hey, what's up, guys? WiseGuyVito here, and today I have an trailer video for you guys. This one will be on secondary weapons against the Automaton faction. As always, like, share, and subscribe. Let's get straight into the tier list. So before we start, let's go over the tiers real quick. S tier would be kind of like the meta picks for secondary weapons on level 10 difficulty against the Automaton faction. A tier would be above average performance. There might be one glaring issue with it, and I'll kind of explain what that one glaring issue might be with the weapon. If that issue got fixed, it would definitely be an S tier pick, but for the most part, this is kind of just like above average. B tier is, kind of mediocre performance overall. C tier is, definitely would like to see some buffs to this. If not, it's not really too great as an automaton weapon. You can still use it, but just know that you're going to be at a below average type of performance. And then D tier is the dookie tier. This is the bad tier. This is probably needs some reworks to this weapon, or it's just not good as a weapon to use against the automatons. Might be used for RP reasons, but for the most part, it's not that great on performance at level 10 difficulty. So, without further ado, let's get straight into the tier list. So the Bushwhacker, this is kind of like the pocket shotgun. Basically, imagine a Punisher in your back pocket. And what you can use this for, it has two firing modes. You can either fire off, it has 3 shots in it. You can either fire all 3 shots at once or fire them one at a time. And that's pretty good. But on the Automaton faction, most of the enemies that you'll be running into have medium armor penetration. This does not have medium armor penetration to it. It has light armor penetration. Sure, you could probably leg Devastators, but at that point, if you're that close, this thing doesn't really have any stagger force to it too much. And since it is kind of like just a handheld type of shotgun, in my opinion, it's not too great against the automatons. It's kind of mediocre in my opinion. So this is why I'm putting it into the B tier category. If it had like a little bit more range to it, it probably would be like maybe on like just barely scratch an A tier. But for the most part, I do not think this is necessarily like a good weapon, but I don't necessarily think that it's a terrible weapon or a bad weapon either. It's kind of just mediocre for the most part. The Crisper, kind of the same thing a little bit. It's harder to set automatons on fire with this new patch, but whenever they do get set on fire, fire damage is pretty good. The problem with this though is that you have to be kind of up close. Flamethrower weapons are just not that great. This kind of runs within the same vein as kind of the Bushwhacker, where you kind of have to be up close. And it's not really too good to do that against the automatons because they can just mow you down, especially heavy Devastators. It's not really too good. On just regular bots, they're like little skinny bots. They're pretty good to handle, but for the most part, like laying down fire and then running away, not really too good because the automatons can just stop what they are and just kind of just shoot you where you're at. But whenever you do set things on fire, it does feel pretty good. So again, this is kind of like it's not a terrible gun, but it's also not a really good gun either. It's kind of just mediocre. The Dagger, I do think the Dagger is really, really good right now for a couple of reasons. One, you can beam Devastator heads with this, which is pretty good. You can also set things on fire with this weapon. And it's a great cleanup weapon as well. It's fantastic. The only thing where I kind of feel like it kind of lacks is that you have to be pinpoint accurate with this gun. That's the only issue with it. It does take some setup for it, meaning that you probably have to run like unflinching armor. So the Truth Enforcer's Warbond armor set has unflinching to it. If you have that, it probably jumps up to S tier in my opinion. But if we're looking at it just base how it is currently, without no build crafting into it, it kind of falls short for me just in one area. And again, you're trying to like have sustained fire on Devastator heads in order to pop them. Other than that though, it's a very good weapon though. You can definitely use this. There's probably some arguments to make it just an S tier weapon, but for me, just for that reason, how flinching currently works in the game, I cannot really put it in S tier unless you build into it. Like I said, if you build into it, it'd be S tier, but by itself, it's an A tier weapon. The Grenade Pistol, I do think this is an S tier weapon just simply because it's great utility. Great utility. You can actually use it against Devastators as well if you need to. A group of little bots. It's just a phenomenal, like I said, just a great utility little weapon. It kind of opens up your grenade slot for other options. It's just super good overall. That's what I'm putting into the S tier category. Hand axe, not gonna lie, this thing is awful. It's not really too good. If it did more damage, maybe, and if it did stagger, again, maybe it'd be in a C tier position. But in its current state, unless you're just role playing for the sake of role play, I would not be using this weapon at all in level 10 difficulties, as far as if you're trying to clear them as fast as you can, or if you just want to clear them out with just ease and efficiency. Like I said, for RP reasons, sure, you can use it. If you want to go crazy man, hatchet man, sure, cool, whatever. But by itself, it's just not that great of a weapon. That's why I'm putting it into the D tier category. The Talon. This is a really, really good little hand cannon. Imagine basically a Senator, but it has medium armor penetration to it and unlimited ammo. That's basically what this weapon is. It does the same damage as a Senator, has basically unlimited ammo. I believe you can take 8 shots with it before you have to reload, so you get 2 extra shots compared to the Senator. The only thing that's kind of like a drawback to the weapon, and even then it's not really a drawback, it's just kind of separates itself from the Senator, is that it has medium armor penetration to it, but you're fighting mostly medium armor penetrating or medium armor enemies to begin with that require medium armor penetration, and this is why I really, really like this gun a lot. It feels really good to use. It has virtually no recoil to it as well. It just feels really, really, really nice to use. If you haven't gotten this yet, this is the Cowboy War Bond. You definitely want to pick this up, or pick up that War Bond, because you get a really good rifle as well, which is lever action, along with this firearm as well. It just feels really good to use. That's why I'm putting it into the S tier category. Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper kind of feels mid. It's just a standard pistol. I don't think it's particularly bad or good. It's just kind of average. The one thing that I will say that the Peacekeeper would benefit from would be the attachment system. Give this thing a suppressor, give this thing different muzzle brakes, different magazine options, different ammo types, and I think this gun would be amazing to use. It would be so good to use. But for the time being, I'm going to definitely put it into a B tier category. It's not good, but it's also not bad either. Plas pistol. If it had more ammo to it, I'll probably put it in the S tier category, but for the time being, it's basically just a pocket purifier. Not a lot of people really use this gun too much. They usually go for like Senators, Talons, grenade pistols, ultimatums, verdicts, and this gun is kind of slept on in my opinion. But I understand why it's being slept on, which is basically just like the ammo. If the ammo was like a little bit better on this gun and you had more shots to it, actually probably not more shots, probably just more ammo just overall, just ammo in reserve, so basically more reloads. I think that it would probably be in a way better position, but you can take out turrets with this thing. You can take out devastators with this thing. It's just, it's a nice little pocket crowd control weapon. It does its job, and it does its job well. It does really good cleanup. And if there's bigger enemies that you need to clean up with, this is the weapon to use. So as I'm putting it into the A tier category, there might be some arguments to make it S tier, but for me, with how the ammo reserves are currently for this weapon, I'm going to put it into the A tier category. The Redeemer. I do think this weapon is probably like on the bottom end of A tier right now. This used to be the best gun in the entire game because, to be perfectly honest with you, it was either this or the Peacekeeper. The Senator was not too great back then, but the Redeemer was king at the time. The Redeemer has fallen off a little bit. This is just better, just Peacekeeper, just overall, because you can just spray and pray everything. It's a great cleanup weapon as well, and it can actually handle Devastators okay. You can either leg them, or you can just beat them in the head, kill them very quickly. Just overall, just a solid firearm overall. The problem with this weapon though is that it is light armor penetration. So you kind of have to watch where you hit, and with the submachine gun like this, and the rapid fire rate and the recoil, that's going to be kind of hard to do. Even on PC at times, it's going to be kind of hard to do, especially if you're aiming for little teeny tiny little Devastator heads. But overall, I do find this weapon to be still pretty good, just above average performance. I think it's fine. The Stem Pistol. Stem Pistol, I think it's just good as just like a support build for the most part. If you're going to be using this weapon by itself, I still think it's fine. If you take it with the stem, it's not necessarily required that you take the stem, the experimental stem booster, but it does help it a lot in my opinion. But if you just want to just keep your teammates alive, even though it's kind of hard to do right now in Helldivers because of seeing how squished we are currently in this current meta, but you can definitely make your teammates into tanks. Well, somewhat tanks, squishy tanks, but tanks nonetheless. But it is pretty good still. I definitely would definitely want to use it if you're running kind of like a medic build. And this goes for all factions. It's a solid weapon, but it's not S tier in my opinion. But it does bring a certain amount of utility to the game that I would say that it definitely is above average overall. Senator, this is super Omega S tier, probably the best sidearm in the entire game, to be perfectly honest with you. Reasons why: it has heavy armor pin to it, which means you can take out Hulks with this weapon if you shoot them in the eye. It can handle Devastators very well. You could take down the gunships with this weapon pretty easily. It's just overall just a solid, just big monster / robot killing machine. It has a fast reload too with the speed reloader. It's just a phenomenal hand cannon, and there's nothing more that I can say to it. I've heard some back and forth on whether or not it's better than the Talon or the Talon's better than the Senator. I do believe that the Senator's probably better overall, just better overall. But what the Talon brings is unlimited ammo, and it's still medium armor pen, so you're still dealing with most of the enemies that the Senator would deal with. It's just that you have unlimited ammo now. But what the Senator has is heavy armor pen though, and that heavy armor pen feels really good even against the medium armor penetrating enemies and the heavy armor and of course Hulks and stuff like that. This gun feels really good. So in my opinion though, I do think that the Senator is the best gun in the entire game right now as far as sidearms go. So that's why I'm putting it into the S tier category. The Saber is kind of falls within the same position of the Hatchet. Cool for RP reasons, but probably not for anything else. I would have actually liked to seen this be kind of like an arc saber, if anything, instead of just like being this glorified hatchet, because that's what it is. It's basically just like the hatchet. If it had something cool like a power sword from like Warhammer, I think that would actually be very, very cool. But instead, they didn't really do that. They just made it into like an elegant sword that you can just use. It doesn't really have that much Tiger Force to it. And overall, it's just, do you want a nice sword to swing at enemies with? But on the automatons, that's not really good. Like melee weapons in general, I guess the automatons are just not efficient at all. That's not to say that they should be buffed so they are efficient, but I mean, granted, I do think that melee weapons in Helldivers 2 need to be buffed in general. But against the automatons, though, it's definitely not that great at all, and that's why I'm putting it into the D tier category. Now, the stun baton and the stun lance. I'm gonna put these both in C tier because they basically do the same thing. It's just whether or not kind of like your playstyle for the most part. Even though I think one is definitely better. The stun lance I do think is better because it's a poke, so you have like a little bit more range than the stun baton. If you hit an enemy with this, it stuns them, which is good. It stuns them for actually quite a bit, or like quite a while, probably like 4 seconds or something like that, like 4 or 5 seconds, from what I've seen. But I don't think you should bring these on automatons still, because you're still, even if you have a ballistic shield or even like the energy shield as well, if you're aiming down sights or like with something with one-handed or aiming down sights, well, I say aiming down sights, but your camera zooms in and you ready the little poke stick or the baton or the sword or the hatchet or whatever, and it brings up like the energy shield. I still don't think these are great at all. Just overall, they are just not great against the automatons. Even if these weapons were buffed, at the very least they probably would be B tier. And buffed, I mean like they just did significantly more damage than what they're doing right now. But for what they are, these are probably the two best that you could use against the automatons. Even though I do think that they're in a C tier category list, they are the best against the automatons, but that ain't saying much. So that's what I'm putting into the C tier category. Ultimatum. Do you think this gun is still wildly good? Even after the nerf, it's still good. It can't destroy I believe it is the jammers anymore. It can't one shot. It cannot one shot Striders anymore, from my understanding. But this is still a really good weapon against heavy armor targets. It's really good against tanks still. It's still really good against Hulks. This just opens up more loadout versatility, and that's what I like about this weapon. That's why I'm putting it into the S tier category, because it still can handle heavy armor targets. It's just there's just some that it really can't handle too much. Like maybe you have to throw in like one more shot into it. But overall, this gun's still really, really good. Even though it can't really destroy structures like it used to, doesn't matter. This gun's still a powerhouse. You can use this to add clear, or you can use this to completely wipe the face of the earth of like any Hulk or tank that you run across. So that's what I'm putting into the S tier category. Verdict. Verdict is still really good. It's kind of like a thing of like, it's just a nice sidearm. It's just better Peacekeeper just overall. If like Peacekeeper, you have like basically two variants of the Peacekeeper. You got the Redeemer and you have the Verdict. The Verdict, does really good damage, has medium armor penetration to it. You can rapid fire this gun and has great ammo economy with it. Reload speed is decently quick. It just feels like a very nice sidearm just overall. I love this gun a lot. It has, I think it has like 10 or 11 shots to it compared to the Talon, which is only 6. Has a really slow reload time whenever you overheat as well. With this, you don't have unlimited ammo to it, but at least you're still getting decent damage with this gun, and it has medium armor penetration to it. It's good for what it is. It's the Deagle of Helldivers too, and for that reason, that's why I'm putting it into the S tier category. Along like this gun has always been really, really, really good, and I think now people are starting to realize, hey, like this gun's actually pretty decent, just overall. If you just want more shots that do like decent damage with a decent reload speed to it, this is your gun right here. The Warrant. Okay, this is the new one. This is the one that came out with the cop, the police, the Popo war bond. I do think this gun is good, but I don't think it is that good. I'm going to put it into the A tier category. The reason why is because I wish that the targeting system would aim for weak spots, would aim for like heads of Devastators. Right now, unless a Devastator is like hurt, like half health, it would probably take it out no problem. Full health Devastators, I have trouble killing them with this weapon. Now that's me using guided, right? Not guided, you have a little bit more agency of where you aim, which is nice. Like, don't get me wrong. But I really, 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 really do wish that the guided system would aim for weak spots. That would be fantastic. This gun would be Omega S tier if that was the case. The problem is that it's not. It doesn't do that. It's just a solid weapon, ease of use to it. It's a really good weapon as far as ease of use. Other than that, though, that's all that it really has. I wish that there was an attachment system to just sidearms in general, to all these different sidearms, because I do think that it would definitely spice things up. If this thing had different like ammo types, especially different ammo types, I think this gun would be fantastic. It'd be really, really cool because now you're hitting shots consistently with different ammo types, and that can definitely be a game changer. But right now, it does I think it's like 80 damage, which is okay. It's not terrible. It has medium armor penetration. That's a step in the right direction. But again, with the guided, with the actual guided shots, I just wish that you can that it would just auto crit. I think this gun kind of deserves it. If it's gonna have this low of damage compared to all the other sidearms in the game, because to be perfectly honest with you, I would use a dagger over this. I would use a Redeemer over this, right? It needs something to kind of give it spice, and the spice would be it can auto crit for you. Or if you want to have the agency to do it yourself, then you can do it yourself, right? Because the targeting is kind of like a little weird on this, because the targets like to you'll be shooting at something and then all of a sudden it'll quickly grab onto something else. That's the time to switch off from guided to unguided, right? But guided overall, though, it feels okay. It feels good. I just wish that it would just auto crit. If it auto crit, then this gun would be really, really good, because it would actually make sense on why the low damage numbers, right? Because at that point, you're just critting, right? You're doing 80 damage plus whatever the crit multiplier is for it, and that would actually be kind of good. That'd be really, really good for this weapon. That's what I'm putting into the A tier category. Please, Airhead, if you are to buff this weapon, because this is actually one of my favorite weapons in the entire game, because it just looks cool, and it sounds cool, it feels really nice to use. I just wish that there was just an auto crit feature for it, because then it would make sense for why the damage is so low, because you could do that plus the crit modifier. So I don't want to repeat myself too much, but this is my tier list. So you guys let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I'd really like to hear your critiques on this tier list, but also kind of like your experience with the sidearms post update, because I like to see what you guys think about the state of sidearms overall. Right now, I think sidearms are actually overall. I feel like sidearms are in a pretty good place for the automatons. Just melee weapons need to be buffed, and there are definitely some guns that could use some help. Like could use a buff or two, just some ease of useness to it, some quality of life stuff to them as well. Even maybe, hey, you can now use the attachment system for these weapons, and it would actually be pretty good at that point. But until then, this is how it's going to be until the next update. So we'll see how that goes. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.